Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and welcome to RAWtalk ReBoot, episode 002. Hi, guys. Hey, Steven.
Hello.
Hey, Todd.
Hi.
This week we have Vanessa Joy joining us.
Oh.
Oh, good. She just doesn't wait. I'm thankfully you said hello. I was waiting for it.
I'm not a mute, I promise.
No, you're definitely not. So this is what we're going to do this week. We are going to go into different photo news topics. We're going to talk about video specs for the EOS R5 that have just come out. We're going to talk about the Tamron Trinity of lenses, the RED KOMODO 6K discussion, as well as Instagram's ruling that is something very interesting to talk about. We're going to do that during the photo news fix. I guess it is kind of like the photo news fix aspect of it. It's just where we can go a little deeper into some of the news stories. Now, before we get into the first section, which is going to be Steven talking about how he's doing the recording, the editing for this, what equipment we're using, some people were asking where Taco Bell Becky was, Todd?
Oh, yeah, she's at spring break.
That's funny. And I couldn't remember the name of the guy with the drone guy. I had to look it up. I didn't realize his name was Meredith.
Oh yeah,
Meredith. Yeah, that's right. It's been a long time.
So we won't be really going too deep into those characters like the old school days because it kind of takes us off the rails, and we want to try and stay as much on the rails as possible.
I'm trying to behave myself.
Yeah, for the most part. We've got a bunch of things to talk about. Steven, why don't we start with the setup? Explain the whole setup and what we're using and how we're doing it.
I mean, for us, there's not too much going on. Me and Todd are using Rode NT USB microphones just directly plugged in. We're making sure to turn off the automatic volume adjustment on Zoom, and we're recording an audition in the background. Last week we had a little bit of a hiccup where Todd's audition was recording only his iMac speakers pretty much. And then for some reason your audition didn't export at all. It just exported a blank WAV file. That's why my audio sounded
dope.
Audio sounded
so
nice
good.
and crispy because of that.
It was 850 megabyte blank file. Like it's happened to me before out of audition when I've done my Daily Fro things where I've uploaded the audio and I'm like, it's blank. People are like, it's blank. And I'm like, what the hell? I saved it, but now I have to check it before I export because the first export that I do sometimes doesn't save the audio properly.
So your setup is a little different, but generally the same. You're using a Rode Broadcaster mic with an XLR input into the Focusrite Sapphire 2.0, whatever it's called. Yep. And same thing, going into audition, recording that. Hopefully this week there's no hiccups and we're good to go. We should all have crispy audio. And then I'm basically just screen flowing the entire screen in gallery view, which gives me a little bit more leeway to punch in for each person talking. I can make a gallery view of all four. It's a little more flexibility in editing, which is nice. So I can cut out the awkward pauses and stuff like that.
Explain why your video looks better on your end. The final.
So since I'm the one screen flowing it, I'm using my native webcam on the iMac Pro, and obviously it's not being compressed over the internet, so my video's going to look the best. Besides Vanessa's, who this week she tops everyone.
She's a pro.
I mean, usually, am a professional photographer. It's true.
Yeah.
So she is using. Well, I'll let her explain. What's your setup?
I am using the Canon EOS R, and I have a Camlink 4K Camlink plugged in, via the HDMI, and then I have my Rode GoPack plugged into the camera, and then via HDMI, that's where the Rode Link is coming through as well. Not Rode Link, yeah, but I don't have the white version. I really want the white version. Look at this. This black is killing the brand here.
It's unacceptable.
It is.
Do we know what's the difference between the white and the black?
The white would match.
Is there any quality difference though? I don't know if there's any.
Honestly, I haven't.
Besides color.
I haven't looked into that one yet.
I mean, fashion is quality, Steven. I know that's hard to
well, if you're thinking about if wedding professionals are going to use it, you don't want to mic a bride with a black mic for any reason. So
that's a good point. But that's basically the setup that we're using. I think Jared will end up getting a real camera after he sees Vanessa's angle this week, and we'll go from there. We did adjust your crazy blown out, overexposed webcam, so hopefully it's a little better this week.
Yeah, I had to download the webcam editing software that I bought the last time we got this, when we first started with this, and it changed the gain and now I had manual control over it so that I can control how it's looking. Ideally, it would be great if we all were able to record with cameras and send it, but it would just, what you got to understand is this is at this point, podcast first. Seeing us is just a little bit of a bonus. I actually do have a cam link over at the factory. I don't think it's the 4K one. I think it was whatever they sent me originally, but the cam link is super cool. They're not a sponsor, but that's a company called Elgato, and they have the cam link literally is a do they have a USB-C version, Vanessa? Do you know?
I don't think they do, at least not that I've seen yet. This one's just the USB.
And then you plug into a dongle?
I plugged into the dongle that plugs into the USB-C, which is super annoying. It's like, how many cords and dongles do I need to plug in a camera?
Yeah.
I do want to throw out there real quick, sorry to interrupt, about the editing. I don't really need to ScreenFlow this because there is an option in Zoom to enable a third-party editor, and you can record the entire video chat, and it gives you 720p angles of each participant, which is nice. But I still feel like the quality is just not there. I think ScreenFlowing it actually looks a little better. Yeah,
and I pay for the Zoom so that we have access and to longer than 45 minutes and to do the recording and to save it to the desktop. It's pretty cool that we can get those files, and I upload them to the Dropbox so that Steven can download, and Todd will upload his audio hopefully, and hopefully mine works properly as well. I do want to do a quick pluggy McPluggerson before we get into the first discussion topic to let you guys know that if you haven't entered to win the camera valued up to $3,499 or lenses valued up to the same amount, go to bit.ly/megafro2020 before the end of the evening on April 30th for your chance to win. Exclusions do apply. Todd Wolf cannot win.
What?
You are not eligible to enter.
Son of a bitch.
But we're giving away a camera. That means that if the EOS R5 comes out at about $3,499, somebody has the possibility of getting an EOS R5.
That would be pretty amazing.
We've given away. Remember, Todd? Do you remember the name of the lady who won during the contest?
Meredith.
No.
Oh. No, I actually don't remember. No.
Gloria. Gloria.
Yeah, shout out to Gloria.
Yeah.
She was super excited too. That was dope.
Gloria was cool. We've done it. It's been great. We've given away maybe 4 or 5 cameras over the years without sponsors on it because I pay for it. We pay for it from the business, and then people
what's
get it.
money? I mean, really, what's money? But just it comes, it goes. I mean, what you're gonna go buy it with that virus check, right? That stimulus check.
Well, no comment on that.
Yeah,
I was gonna bring up.
Why?
Why, Jared? Why?
You don't want to get? You don't want to be helped?
I'm not getting a stimulus check, Todd.
Why? You don't pay taxes?
I pay a lot of taxes, Todd.
Oh, I don't understand.
I run a business, Todd. I make some money. I make that YouTube coin, all right? I'm not eligible.
You're so rich you don't even need the extra money. You don't need that Trump signature check. Lucky.
First off, shut up. Second, how many checks did you get, Todd?
None yet. Yeah, none.
I do want to get into the PPP thing later, the payroll protection plan, because that is important for a lot of small businesses like us, like your business, like Vanessa's business, and independent people. I guess let's go into that right now since we're there, and then we'll get into the first topic after that. So for those who don't know what PPP is in the United States, it's the Payroll Protection Plan, where $350 billion had been set aside for small businesses with less than 500 employees that could get 2 months of payroll for employees and could get the mortgage payments or rent payments, utility payments, healthcare payments, and if you maintain the same amount of employees or you rehire employees that you let go, you will be basically forgiven the loan, meaning you don't have to pay it back, which is absurd and insane because how's it going to get paid back, for one, in general? Where's the money coming from? But two, it's, I applied through my bank because it is definitely something that helps with paying employees and paying the rent. And the money ran out already, by the way, before most companies could even do it. But larger companies that fall under it have had the ability to, one, they have teams of lawyers and accountants who were prepared, and it's just very difficult. It was a little difficult. I had to go through the process with my accountant on the phone because it was confusing. Even though they say it only took 10 minutes to do, it was still confusing to know what numbers you needed. And so I'm in line, but the money has run out as of now. Has any of the businesses you work with, Todd, done that?
I mean, I'm not in the inner workings of that stuff on our side, but I mean, I would assume something like that's happening, just because everybody needs a little help in hand right now. I mean, I think the biggest thing that concerns me is just the simple fact that, most folks in this field, whether it's video or photography, it's just like a lot of us are independent contractors. A lot of the times we get a 1099, and then this stuff just disappears. I mean, it's just gone. And I mean, you might get that stimulus check, I guess, and I think folks are getting unemployment, in this situation, are supposed to be. I've been kind of keeping track of this with friends on their social media, just seeing if they're all right. But this is definitely going to damage the creative side for some time.
They weren't opening up the 1099 and independent contractors or sole proprietor option to apply for the money. They were waiting to do that after the other business one, which is kind of odd. I mean, it's difficult because obviously the rollout didn't work properly. There's no oversight. There's no way to make sure that people are legitimate, in my opinion, from how it's being done. But then the money just runs out already. And so the people that really, really, really need it to sustain their business, luckily, thankfully for us as FroKnowsPhoto, we sell digital products. And we don't really have the physical location, so it's helped. Like, we can hopefully weather the storm a certain amount, but at some point it's going to hurt everybody. But the restaurants that aren't working, that have staff, or other businesses, they're the ones that need access to this and can't get it right now. Vanessa, you have anything? Did you apply as a sole proprietor?
So I'm basically not applicable for anything. So I can't get that stimulus check. I don't have actual employees because as a wedding photographer, I'm an LLC, but there's no one that's an actual employee. Everyone is 1099. They own their own business. So we have all these canceled weddings, which just means canceled income. And there's nothing that actually applies to us at all, other than a loan that you have to pay back. That's unforgivable.
What are you doing with the deposits that wedding people have given you?
So far, everyone has postponed their wedding. No one has canceled. So I'm just keeping the deposits, and then we adjust their payment plan for the final balance that's due 14 days before their wedding day. So it's just pushing everything off. So far, I technically haven't lost any income. I simply just don't have it now. But what's happening is weddings are postponing from this year until next year. And if you're like me, you only take, 20 some odd weddings per year. Then now the dates for 2020, they're now sucking up your dates on 2021. And that causes dates to be filled up that now you can't serve. Even volume companies, it's filling up dates later, and ultimately you lose because of it.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does suck a lot.
All right, so let's move on to the first topic, and this one was fascinating to watch happen. Frustrating at times, which I'll explain why, but fascinating. Stephen, do you even know what topic? Because you look like you're like, I hope he's.
I think you're talking about Morgan, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this. So, all right, so here we go. Todd has a daughter named Morgan, and Morgan and Todd started a YouTube channel for Morgan. We know that Todd's YouTube channel was terrible and failed, so he had to try something.
Oh, please.
He's like, I can't get my channel. Let me get my daughter to do something.
I have about 20,000 subscribers, so kiss my ass.
All right, got it.
More than
your daughter has more than you.
Well, that's true.
So, well, what happened is Todd started helping Morgan make YouTube videos in the genre of, what would you call that genre? Tweens?
Probably teen, tween. Yeah, I mean, she bugged me since she was little to have a YouTube channel. And then probably about when she was 12, I was like, finally, all right, we'll try it. And then that's where it started.
So every 12-year-old wants to be YouTuber.
Seriously.
No, or TikTok star.
But what she has that many people her age never had is she's acted, she's performed on stages, she's like she looks great on camera, and she's really smart, she's articulate, she speaks well, she just comes across extremely well on camera. As long as she's not being like, oh my God, or chewing gum. Like that first video or
no,
that
I will say
video.
the very first time she was on camera and I hit record, I'm like, well, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to do what's in my dance bag. I was like, why would somebody watch that? And I'm like, all right, fine. I set it up, hit record, and then she just out the gate first time. I was like, she's like, hi, and just off to the races like she's reading a teleprompter. And I was like, oh shit. And I just got out of the way.
So do you think that you had a leg up because, well, here, I think Todd had a major leg up because, one, he can shoot and edit. I mean, he can kind of shoot. Like, that's questionable. But he can definitely...
At the beginning, yeah. No, I mean, I had all the gear, and I yeah, obviously I know how to edit, and I worked with you long enough that I kind of understood, you know, editing for YouTube and editing other things are certainly two different styles to a certain degree. So I understood that, but then at the same time, I also had to learn, like, people care about, like, what's in my bedroom. Because a lot of this stuff, I'm just like, why would anybody care about this? But then, you know, after she's got 1 million views on a couple of these videos, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess you know what you're talking about.
Well, so that was the thing. It was like, watching this was interesting. Like, oh, Morgan just put out a video called "School Morning Routine," Morgan Jean at the end. So you put her name at the other end. By the way, that has 2 million views, and it's from a year ago. That is unbelievable that she has 2 million views on that one video, 1.8 million views on School Night Routine, 945,000 on Weekend Morning Routine.
So my question is, who came up with the routine video idea?
That's all
Was that
her.
Because obviously that
I mean,
does...
I don't think she invented it, but she was...
No, but she knows what people want to watch when they're 12 or 13.
She certainly... And I was the last person to understand it. I was like, this sounds stupid to me. Like, why would people want to see you eat lunch or eat dinner? And she's like...
I don't know.
And I just... only thing she would get annoyed with me about is me trying to be super extra with all the camera movement and doing all kinds of wacky stuff.
But that's what set her videos apart from other people.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you know, doing all those things that you always do, if you say it, show it. So you went to town literally, like full literal. If she said it, you literally showed exactly what she was saying. You put the movements in, and that's what set this 12-year-old apart from some other 12-year-old just sitting there with a webcam, and it didn't with no microphone and no lighting and nothing else. So I think that what's interesting is I think that you had like 7 years or 8 years of hanging around us with FroKnowsPhoto and getting an understanding of how we did certain things. You had your attempt at making YouTube videos that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. Some of them popped and some of them didn't. That's not a knock. It's not a knock. You just weren't consistent.
No, and that is on me. Like, it's just not something I wanted to do. Like, I was more pressed to make my own story a different way. Like, I didn't want to make videos. I think the last video I made was how to shoot music videos, and I think that might have 250,000 views, but I never put the time into it. But Morgan wanted it. She bugged me for years, and so we did it.
So she has 150,000 subscribers right now. Were you shooting and editing everything all along, and did that change?
Well, from the beginning, I would shoot everything, and then I would edit everything, and it was hard. And then she'd be a pain sometimes because she didn't want me to. Sometimes it's funny, she would look at other YouTube videos from popular people, and they'd be shooting on webcams, and it would look crappy, and the layouts would be crappy, and the design would be crappy, and the edits would be crappy, and she'd be like, I want it to be more like that. Like she wanted it to be more like
More authentic.
I guess.
It's
And I was
real.
like, I can't do that. I'm never going to do that. So, but the big turning point was when I shot the movie and went into pre-production. I was gone.
Yeah.
I was off. Like I had no bandwidth to do anything else, and I haven't shot for her for probably a year almost now. So in that time frame, she pretty much picked up the camera, and I don't know if you remember, I did get her a
M50.
Canon M50, yeah, and she learned all that. She started editing all herself. So like all the videos for the last 6 months, 9 months have been all her shooting herself and editing. Sometimes she gets the frame rate wrong, and sometimes she gets this wrong, and the shutter speed is off, but she does it herself, and I'm probably more proud of her now than I was when we started.
You can tell the difference slightly. I mean, I know that when you started making the movie, it kind of fell off because you were doing once a week with her. You also did all the thumbnails. You have a big thing, put her in the thumbnail and put a big bunch of designery text stuff, and it's like a billboard. And I still argue with her about it. I'm still like, people want to see you, and they want to know what it is real quick when they're scrolling by. But and I think she's using PicMonkey now to make her own thumbnails. So that's like, it's a little like app on your phone to put little things together and pictures and all this. And it's one of those things that I think with any parent or with working with any other creative, it's sometimes you got to kind of let them find their way and kind of like, find their own style. And I kind of feel like even though her views might not be as huge sometimes as some of the big cinematic ones we would shoot, she's still getting big hits. Like she's done videos on her own that have gotten 50 to 100,000. So it's not like she's, done anything wrong, but she's definitely trying to find her own voice. And I honestly, I would rather see her do that than me sit back and spoon feed everybody who I think she should be. And I'd rather her put herself out to the world on her own.
Todd, how was the editing with her? Did she pick that up pretty quickly? Is it Final Cut? Is it iMovie? What's she working with?
She does Final Cut. And look, she's grown up with me down here her entire life, watching me cut together, whether it's stuff for Jared or movies or anything, and she's been watching me for years. So, and it's so funny now when I watch, like, she doesn't even let me watch them anymore, like to proof them. Like I honestly think she's like, yeah, kiss my ass.
My way or the highway.
It's my way or the highway.
I'm a way better editor.
Yeah. No, and like even the last couple I looked at, and I was like, holy cow! Like I think she pays actual attention to like
details,
things I've done, and just things in general. Like she's doing really well. I definitely see her being influenced by other YouTubers, which is probably good because she's more in that space than I am. So
well, that brings us up to Vanessa, who a couple months ago, maybe it was a couple months ago at this point, decided that she wanted to go all in and start to create content on her own YouTube versus doing it just for other companies' channels. Yep. Do you want to go into how this whole process started for you, Vanessa?
Well, I mean, I've mostly Adorama TV, so they have been using me for about 4 or 5 years creating videos. I think I have 90 some odd videos on their channel, and then I've done it for other things, but everyone's always told me, well, you need your own audience. You got to do it yourself, build your own channel. Like what if, and they're right. What if just Adorama decides they don't want you anymore, or whoever it is, and then what do you have? So
it sounds like something I would say.
I think you may have. And truthfully, you've been fantastic in helping me just get a grip on it, because it's not just video production. Yeah.
Can you please make your story more about Jared?
Unfortunately, with a head as big as his, it's hard to not. No, but I've always been told, even from the days of like being on Creative Live, Craig Swanson, that was one of the founders there, he always said, you guys, you have an in-house production team. So my husband is a video producer. So we can create whatever. And at that, he's a damn good one, not just like someone who's, hey, I think I'll video something. He's very good. So we do have an in-house production team, and it's almost stupid to not try it. So December, it was like mid-December or late December, I started. So it's been 4 months now. And it's a lot of freaking work. It really is. And it's not even just the filming. The filming I've got down to a science. We'll film like 10 to 12 videos a day and have film days because, I'm not a career YouTuber. I have a wedding business to run and a family to feed.
Had a wedding business to run.
Well, yeah, thank God. Don't forget it. Thank God I have this and I have this extra source of income right now. Because otherwise, that would have been really bad. Would have been worse for me, that's for sure.
Well, so we did spend a lot of time talking and helping Vanessa with ideas and thoughts because there was certain video that she was putting up certain videos and I was just like, Vanessa,
you're like, no,
you can't do that. You can't do that video. And I'm not saying like I know everything. It was just that.
But I know everything.
I was waiting for it.
Can I say what videos, like what type of video it was, Vanessa?
Yeah, I don't care. My mistakes are all out there.
Well, basically it was a video breaking down, like a 2-minute video slideshow of a bride and a groom's wedding, which to the general YouTube audience that you were trying to get, like that's great if you wanted to get weddings and you want to show clients. But when people want to learn, they want to see, how did you do this wedding? How did you edit these photos? How did you do this layout? And so you were going to put up like 9 of these. You pre-programmed them because you thought it was going to be an easy piece of content. But I was like, but this is a bad piece of content. It's only going to get like 30-second watch time. It's not going to do well for whatever the BS algorithm is on YouTube. And that if you want to do this, then break down the wedding and go into detail so people can learn from it.
Yeah. And in my head, I was thinking, one, it's good because I wanted to show I'm a real photographer. I'm, not real photographer.
Are you?
Maybe I make most of my money taking photos of consumers.
We're not going to get into that argument again.
No, definitely not. But I liked that about, what I had to offer is something that's potentially different. But in addition, I thought in my head, well, search engine optimization and, could I use this as a way to get more clients at the same time as building my YouTube channel? And since then I realized, I just got to funnel this directionally towards education and not think about it getting me more clients because anytime you kind of split things, you're just half-assing them anyway.
And how many subscribers are you at now?
I think 14,000.
I mean, it's good. I mean, you started with 0 like everybody else, and you went to 10,000 pretty quick. And your most, I got to give you props. Your most popular video has like 85,000 views on it. What is it of?
Because it's all about me.
Talk more about me, please. Talk more about. I'll be honest. I came across that randomly. And I was like,
really?
It was just recommended.
I did.
Well, he sent it to me.
I came across it, and I was like,
he goes, did you guys
what
see
in the
this?
hell is this?
Did you send it to him, Todd? Like, oh my God, did you know about this? How dare she?
I just sent it to the two of them, and I was like, did you guys see this? And I thought it was actually really funny and good. And then my second question was like, did you do that there? And is that my fro wig? Because nobody's allowed to wear that wig except me.
Well, I was curious, Vanessa, how you had, like a background plate of the set. Was it when Jared would like exit the set, you guys took a screenshot or something? Or did Jared give you?
Jared gave it to me.
Oh, that makes sense.
Please talk about me.
Yeah, I told him about it long ago because I always have ideas. I'm an idea person and I'm super snarky, like Jersey sarcastic. So just kind of, he's like, yeah, because I am. And that's just my personality. And if, I want to show my personality, doing a spoof video is definitely me. Granted, I didn't think I was going to be any good at it. I still look at it and cringe because I don't think it's that good. But so I came to Jared with the idea and I was like, do you mind if I do this? And he's like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, can I get a background for my green screen?
I don't know.
It was Jared, great. I do. I really liked it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
Did you know it was going to be more of a roast though, Jared, when she initially came up with the idea?
He did
No,
No.
I didn't. That's why I didn't watch the whole video because I was like,
you absolutely watched the whole video and you did it while I was on the phone and you laughed. 3 times.
Well, I was surprised as hell to find out that you didn't use a teleprompter, that it was all off the top of your head.
No, I didn't even premeditate any of it. Actually, we filmed that after a full day of YouTube filming. I think I had filmed 11 videos by that point, and I was I was fried, honestly. And I had to actually stop, go cook dinner, take care of the kids, put the kids to bed, and then go back out and finish filming the video. So I didn't write anything down. Everything was off the cuff of whatever I could think of.
Well,
which is probably why there's so many bloopers of me laughing, because I just lost it.
Steven has a cameo in it.
Steven does.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part when you yelled at Steven.
Well, I had a couple people ask me, they're like, did they, is that someone else that sounded like you? Because it sounds just like you. I'm like, it's obviously me.
Oh, it was you.
It was me, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
The thing is, like, people are like sending it to me. Did you know she's making fun of you?
How dare she? And it's like, does anyone have a sense of humor? In the comments that I got, so many people are like, oh, Jared has really thin skin. He's going to be really pissed about this. Like, you better watch.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true.
It's very true.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
Jared
That's
can
true.
dish it,
Yeah.
but he can't take it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
What are you talking
He only
about?
sanctioned. He only sanctioned criticism.
Well, this was half sanctioned. So I got those, and I got the people, who just told me like, oh, how dare you mooch off of Jared's success and use this to gain subscribers, which that's almost like, every video any YouTuber makes is to gain subscribers. Like, that's almost just a dumb comment. But it's also...
No, it is just a dumb comment.
It is.
It's not almost, it just is.
So it's, if you're going to make videos and you're going to do this for a living, if you can't find a way to have fun, what the hell are you doing it for?
Yep.
Well, and then just speaking of comments, how are you with taking comments? Is it rough? Is it...
Me personally?
Yeah. Because it's not easy, even for us still today.
No, it never gets easy. And Jared, every once in a while, I'll send him like, do you believe this asshole? So I am of the mindset where if it's an opinion, I'll leave it there. If you're flat out jerk to me, depending on my mood, I'm either going to come right back at you with all the Jersey girl I got in me, or I'm going to delete it. I delete very, very rarely, usually when it's like something profane or racist or something horrible.
Same.
You need to use the ban hammer more often. If somebody's a dick, fuck them, get out of here, leave me alone. Go.
I actually gave Morgan Jared's advice. Jared, at one point, maybe it was in the guide where you said, it's your channel, it's your house, basically.
It's
if
not a
somebody doesn't know how to
democracy.
act, just delete it or ban them. And I told Morgan that, I'll tell you what, if you want to see somebody who does not care about comments, she doesn't even look at them. She doesn't even think about them, doesn't pay attention.
Wow. See,
Her mom
feel
and
like
I basically look at them more. Yeah.
Well, that's
if
good.
anything, we look at them just to make sure. And you can put filters in for words and
keywords,
things like that to pull
I like
comments
to interact. Whether it's the people that are actually nice and I'm interacting with them and asking their questions, I want to be there for them. But at the same time, I also just can't let a keyboard warrior get away with it, because they think like I'm going to be nasty to this little girl. I had somebody actually call me, "Oh, you're a little miss. You got a lot to learn." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just going to go ahead."
That's
and
what they say to Jared too.
Well, he is a little miss. Look how cute.
He is. Especially with that face.
You know what? Yeah. So the comments, I wish I could reply to more. I wish I could pay attention more. It's just impossible, because you get 100 really good ones, you get one bad one, and it just pisses you off. And then Steven's like, "Jared, I can't believe you wrote that back to that person." And I'm like,
well, because your comment's like a super immature what you'll do,
it's not immature.
You'll comment back. You'll comment back something nasty and then delete the whole comment so they see it, but then no one else can see it, which is awesome. I think that's genius. Actually, no, it's not genius. Definitely not.
It's a little genius.
I've definitely no, because then people are like, "Why did you delete this comment? Why didn't you leave it public?" And I'm like, why'd you make a stupid ass comment?
I remember we deleted somebody on RAWtalk, one of the comments, and if you remember, he had like 10 different names, and he kept coming back with the same comment as a new user.
God.
Well,
and it just was
can't
never
shut
ending.
me down. That's what I'll say. You're not going to shut me out.
And it wasn't just YouTube. He was commenting on my Twitter, my Flickr he found, my Instagram, like my LinkedIn.
Your MySpace. I found it all.
My MySpace.
Your Friendster. That's just dedication.
Yeah.
All right, now before we move on to the next section, we've got Miss Morgan Jean, YouTube extraordinaire, here to say hello.
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 Oh, hello. How's school that's not happening right now?
I don't really like it.
Is Todd your teacher?
No.
No, all her teachers are on like Zoom, like this.
Really? God, I would have been the worst if I was on Zoom. If I was Jared is like a 12-year-old on Zoom would have been so bad.
It's called YouTube.
So Morgan, tell us how's your YouTube career going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. It's stressful, but it's all right.
What is stressful about it?
So tell them about how when I started my movie, how you had to start shooting and doing it yourself, and how do you feel about that? What did you have to learn and do?
Oh yeah, so he was like gone for like a month, and like I didn't like post for like a month because like he wasn't there to like help me. Then when he's finished, he had to edit it, so I didn't really have anyone to help me with my videos. So I have to like film and edit them on my own, and it's like harder than I thought it was.
But it's a skill set that will set you apart from everybody else. If you can film and edit your own stuff, like that is the toughest thing for a YouTuber to figure out. Is a lot of people early on are like, I'm going to find somebody else to edit it. Now you're beholden to them to get a job done that they'll never do. So if you can do it all yourself, you're in control.
Yeah, Jared still can't do that.
Exactly. I only did the first 1,000 videos.
Well, I guess that's me.
It's you.
Great editing.
Yeah. So how do you plan your videos and all that stuff? Like now that you went from 100 to 150,000, I think, since I stopped editing and shooting.
Yeah. Well, I have like a bunch of sticky notes on my wall of like video ideas. So if I ever like need an idea, I can just like use one of them. And I have it so where like videos that need more planning will like be like certain places, so I can know like which ones I can do on a whim and which ones I have to like take time to plan. But I write everything I want to do down, like all my like shots I want to do, because I just have like a specific like thing in mind that I want it to look like. So
Wow.
That's amazing. I have
So
just
much
like
better
an
than Todd.
ongoing note list. I'm like video ideas, and I just write things, and half the time I don't remember like what I wrote and what I wanted to film afterwards.
So what advice would you give to anybody, or maybe anybody's kids that want to make a YouTube channel?
Don't do it to be famous. Do it because you actually like it.
I thought you were just say don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, do it because you like it.
That's a good answer.
Because
Yeah.
the fame thing doesn't come easily.
Well, how was it when it got popular and being at school? How did that?
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
people
what I want
are
to know.
mean.
Well, tell them.
It was like it wasn't like mean like actual literal bullying. It was just kind of like my friends are annoying. So
your friends or
they're my friends,
people
but
you know.
people I know are just kind of annoying, and they can't grasp the fact that my YouTube channel has more subscribers than their Fortnite channel.
Are there
What
a
she's
lot
trying
of
to say is it was the boys. It was the boys messing with her.
are there a lot of kids your age in your school that also have YouTube channels, or is it only a few?
Not at my old school. A lot of the boys had like video game channels with like 50 subscribers. It was a lot
Like on
worse at my old
Twitch.
school.
Drop the mic.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Are you keeping the revenue separate from Todd's account yet?
No.
No, you have to be a certain age to have. You have to be a certain age to have that all. I think you have to be.
It's
18
not
to have
13?
your own account. No, you have to be 13 to have a channel or something. But yet, the revenue thing it still goes through my.
So what's your
thing.
Todd?
99%.
Nothing.
100,
Nothing.
150%.
Nothing.
Room and board.
He gets nothing.
Camera rentals. Studio electric. And good looks.
So when I would check out your videos at the factory when they'd come on, and I'd be like, what? Get GRWM? I'm like, what the hell is that?
It's get ready with me.
Duh.
Right. I Googled it. But those routines are popular. How many other routines can you do, or can you keep doing the same routines every 6 months?
I can keep doing the same routines every 6 months, but I can do different things. Like like I don't know. I just have to do something different, but they'll still be pretty popular because people like those.
What's the most is that the most popular video that you make?
Yeah, my most popular video is like a morning routine.
Yeah, it's a routine.
And it has 2 million views.
Wow. Yes, it does. It took
now I'm
me
curious, like
9 years to get
if Jared made a my morning routine video, do you think it would do anywhere near the same?
Every year when he updates it, it would be the same thing. Nothing would change.
I don't know.
My OCD routine.
I don't think there's a wide audience for guys doing morning routines. I think a guy did do a morning routine on YouTube once, and he got roasted. So
did you ever look back at some of your older videos from a year or two ago and cringe a little bit, or are you totally fine with how they turned out?
No, I cringe. I definitely cringe. Yeah.
But that's okay. Like, that's the point. Like, leave them. Just leave them and look back in 10 years.
That's how I feel when I watch Jared's old videos before I came along.
That's how we all feel anytime we scroll like too far back in our blog or too far back anywhere.
Yeah.
It's a cool documentary. It's documentation of things. Like, I started 10 years ago. I can go back to 10 years ago and look at those videos and be like, look how small that guy's arms are. It's just like, now it's a totally different ball game.
Same badonkadonk.
Yeah, I've always had the badunkadunk.
My little
All right,
bookshelf.
on that note, I think it's time to let Morgan go.
Yeah.
All right, good job, Morgan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keep it up.
Definitely
Thanks.
keep it up.
I will.
My daddy routine. Oh my god. All right, thanks, Morgan, and that was cool. She's, we've never talked about it, but hearing her talk about having, she's taking notes. She's taking ownership of her channel because you couldn't be there because of the movie, and so she has to do her stuff. It's not as polished as it was when you were doing it. Well, I can say that with the videos.
But it's definitely more her voice.
Yeah.
And I think I'd rather see that than cinematic camera movement and B-roll and all that stuff.
And
although her and I are
shots.
talking about, getting the band back together and doing a couple maybe like quarantine routines in a more cinematic style. And she's I think now that she's taken a step back and had to do it all herself, and she saw what it was and what it is now. And I said to her, well, if you ever want to do it, get the band back together. She's like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like,
All right.
Once you're doing all your own video editing work, it's like, oh God, this sucks.
It's terrible. It's rough.
It is rough.
No, I hate editing video.
Me too.
Well, and especially
job.
when it's your voice, when it's you and you're looking at yourself. Like, that's why I always hated editing like the DSLR guide or the editing guides, because I'm like, I hate watching
I'm
myself.
literally editing my own DSLR guide right now, and I'm like, oh my God, Vanessa, shut up. Stop saying that.
Yep.
Moving on to photo news section, where we can go a little deeper into some of these stories. One of the biggest news stories of the week that this is coming out is that Canon has released more video specs for the upcoming EOS R5. Steven, you have the list of the specs?
I do.
Todd breaking out the horn. Go ahead, Steven.
Do you want me to just read through them?
Well, go through some of the things. Do you have the list of what we knew?
I have the exact list of what I sent you, so I can say what we already know and
Yeah.
what is new as of this week. So what we already know, and I think, Todd, I don't think you really heard about these specs just yet. So what we already know is it's full width 8K up to 30 frames per second. By the way, most of this is video related. That's all they released so far. Dual pixel CMOS AF autofocus in all 8K modes. It records 8K internally. You don't need an external recorder. 5-axis sensor shift IBIS combined with their lens IS. We still don't know how many stops of stabilization that will be, since they're going to be working together. And now the new detailed info that they told us this past week is the internal 8K will be 422 10-bit with C-Log or HDR-PQ in H.265. Again, that's full width internal. Also, it does 8K RAW. 8K RAW internal. And again, dual pixel AF, 30 frames per second. I don't know if it's going to be the same RAW video format as the 1DX Mark III, but I assume it will be. Still internal. Crazy. Also offers full width 4K up to 120 frames per second. This is one of the first consumer cameras to do 120p and 4K. They also say, again, full width. It'll be 422 10-bit as well with C-Log or HDR-PQ. Dual card slots, we now know it's confirmed. It's one CF Express card and one SD UHS 2 card slot. I assume redundant recording will still be pretty slow because of that SD UHS 2 card. So a lot of people will probably only be utilizing the CF Express slot for the most part, especially if they want that 20 frames per second rate. And I assume the 8K and 4K 120p modes will have to utilize the CF Express slot because it's just so much bandwidth. We don't know if there's a record limit. We don't know if it's going to be 8K 10 minutes, 8K RAW 2 minutes, if it's going to be unlimited. We don't know the exact release timeline just yet, if it's going to be pushed back or not with this whole what's going on right now in the world. But that's the new info. So the fact that everything is pretty much 10-bit 422 with C-Log or, again, HDR-PQ, that new HDR mode, and it's H.265. It's pretty mind-blowing. The biggest thing for me is the 8K RAW full-width internal.
My biggest question I think I would have for that is heat. Like, is that thing it's gonna be pushing so much data? How are they gonna, because so many of these cameras overheat in 4K, let alone 8K.
And we don't know the full dimensions of the camera body just yet, but from the looks of it, it looks to be around the same size as the EOS R. I don't see any exhaust vents or any type of ventilation going on. Who knows? Yeah, there's Jared with the EOS R now with the grip. But it's going to have to, and it's going to have some serious processing power to do 8K full width RAW, 30 frames per second. I mean, the fact that they even went higher than 24p for that internally. So,
Todd, do you know who you could hire to just blow the camera, air over the camera?
You?
Taco Bell Becky.
Oh.
She's available, I heard.
I heard she's not feeling well after spring break, though, so we'll have to see.
Why? How did she catch it?
I don't know. Too much Taco Bell.
I think the interesting thing is, obviously, CF Express cards are fantastic. Vanessa knows this with the 1DX Mark III. Steven knows it with the 1DX Mark III. And we know it, like, I've got these, the pro grade card readers.
Fast.
Like, the card readers are so stupid, and this isn't even their super fast Thunderbolt 3 reader. That I left that at the studio because this one has SD and CF Express. But CF Express, maybe that can help reduce heat because it doesn't have to buffer. It can just get right to the card quicker. Now, these cards get super hot. The card reader gets super hot when powered into the computer as well.
I mean, I feel like that's any card reader, though, for the most part.
Not as hot as these, man.
No?
Not as hot as the Thunderbolt because it's just throwing so much more power. I've only noticed it with the Thunderbolt is that it when plugged into my Macs is that I unplug them. As soon as I'm done transferring, I'll eject and then unplug them because that thing gets hot. It's probably pulling power away from the processor.
Because when we did all SD cards for the most part before we got the Z6s, it was still really hot, those SD card readers, Thunderbolt ones.
Yeah, well, I think it's Thunderbolt. I think it has something to do with the Thunderbolt side of it. But we're still waiting on photo specs. We know that it's 12 frames per second mechanical. We know it's 20 frames per second silent. It just seems like they are throwing everything at this camera.
Everything.
And did they confirm there's no crop?
Yeah.
Full width. Yeah, no crop. In both 4K and 8K modes, they're saying even the 120p 4K mode is full width, and with dual pixel AF, I mean, that's got to be some serious processing power to be recording. I hope it does audio as well in the slow-mo modes, just to have options. If I don't want to slow it down and I want to use the audio. But if it does dual pixel and it does 4K 120 and it has audio, I mean, that's a lot of processing power it needs.
I'm just over here smirking because as someone who's been Team Canon for quite some time, and my husband left Canon as a videographer, he went Panasonic. And now he looks at this, he's like, I think I'm coming back. And that was the first thing I said to Canon when they started telling us the specs was, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, video's coming back. They're coming back home.
Finally.
Yep.
Well,
a lot of people who switched after, Canon just wasn't giving enough to video, they kept all their glass, and that's always been Canon's strong point was the glass. And now all the glass on the RF line, it's just ridiculous. And
incredible.
Combo that with, this
incredibly
R5.
Expensive too.
Yes, it is.
Well, as I said last week, and people gave a little bit of pushback, they're like, well, you're you're going to switch to Canon. What they have to understand is we're talking about video. If I can, we switch back because we have Z6s right now that we've been using video. We love the quality of the Z6, but the dual pixel AF, they don't have that. It's not as like this for the EOS R that I'm holding right now. If you're watching, it's just, I went and grabbed it at the factory so I could record B-roll and just touch the focus where I wanted it and have it be cinematic. It's just so much better and easier for me to film with that than the Z6.
And I use the Canon Connect all the time when I would film my own videos. I'd have my little iPad sitting there, make sure everything's focused. I can monitor sound and be off to the races. And look,
so easy to film yourself with it.
Yeah.
I will say, granted, most of the manufacturers now have similar apps and they all work the same way. But Canon, I think, did it first well.
Yeah, Nikon's works pretty well too, except it limits some things that you can do with it. All right, so that's what. Todd, did you want to jump in?
No, I was just going to say, but it's that dual pixel AF that comforts me, knowing that even if I'm using the app, that I know that that's probably pretty damn solid, that focus. That's the thing, that using an app or not or whatever, it's that autofocus that you know is going to be there. And I've always been a fan of the Canon color. I mean, that's just all. I've always been in that realm.
The nice thing too about this new camera recording H.265 is that the files won't be as massive as if they were recorded in H.264. So you'll have a better quality codec, but a smaller file size, which is always nice. They're pushing the future with this, which is nice.
And we debated when the 5D Mark IV came out, using that for video until we used it for video and was like,
well,
no.
I think the real world review we shot for the 5D Mark IV, we shot the entire thing on it. And since it was the 500 megabit per second data rate, I think it was 2 terabytes it came out to be, the entire review, like the biggest review we've ever done. And same time in terms of like how much footage we shot, but since they were just such big bloated files, it ended up being about 2 terabytes. We were running and swapping cards with Dan every 20 minutes or something, or 16 minutes.
It was like
I think
12 minutes.
Yep. You get like 16 minutes on a 64 gig card. It was.
And then for event videographers, the 5D4 was all the same problems. You know, a lot of people use them, but I think that was where a lot of videographers were like, let's go Sony.
So now Panasonic, I am curious with Vanessa, does your husband use the S1H, or is he more the higher end Panasonic cameras, or?
No, he has the S1 and I always forget the name.
S1R. GH5.
The GH5, thank you. The GH5 and the S1 and the S1R. And he was just testing one of their newer camcorders. I'm not sure if that one's out yet. But yeah, so he's been on Panasonic, and then now it's like, well, if you're going to shoot me, you have to use the R. So I have him using the R, and he's like, oh my God, I can't beat this autofocus. It's so good and so much easier to handle. And then he still uses all the Canon glass too.
Panasonic sent us a GH5S that I'm pretty sure is still on the shelf at the factory. 3 years ago they sent it. Something like that.
I think it is still on the shelf, yeah.
We tested it out as like to be on the fixed set, and the problem was with such a dinky sensor, everything was in focus, and so it was just not the right choice. So that's when we threw my D5S up there for a while until we replaced it with a D850. Yeah, we used a D850 for a while with like a 51.4, and it was just, or a 24-70 and 2.8, and it just was so much better.
He actually had that GH5S, right? That one that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or GH5. He had that one, but he would only use it for like the far and away safety shot, like at a ceremony. It would be the one in the balcony, just capturing everything. That's kind of all that was good for.
Well, so that brings us into the next story, which is about RED, because somebody asked about what our thoughts are on the RED Komodo, which is something they announced like 2 years ago, but without a lot of information. And it's a 6K camera from RED that employs a crop sensor that is Super 35 with a global shutter. It's got a touch display and phase detect AF, so that's all built in. It's supposed to be priced around $5,000, and it has an RF mount. So that is super interesting for many reasons, and it makes you question, will people spend the extra money for that when they can get an EOS R5 with that's 8K, but they're not getting the global shutter and the RED RAW?
And I did read up that also doesn't have a lot of ports. I don't think there's an HDMI out or XLR in or any of that. I think it's literally just like a box as of now.
Oh, I forgot to mention,
Although it does
the
come
cards,
with a display.
Yeah,
right?
it comes with a
traditionally
display.
Red just was like, here's your box.
Oh yeah,
But it says that they went with CFast, not CF Express. And if they come out with CFast, I just think that's a mistake at this point, that they need to refigure it out to work with CF Express, because they're cheaper, they're faster, and CFast is obsoleted at this point already.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird choice for something that's not out yet.
I don't know, Steven, have you ever used any of the Reds?
I used the Red Scarlet back in college. This is going 8-9 years ago, when that was one of the first affordable Reds you could get, which at the time was, I don't know, probably like 10 grand for just the brain. I think the lens alone on that was like 15 grand that the school ended up buying. But yeah, I mean, it was great, incredible files. The Red Raw is amazing what you can do to that. But I haven't used one since. So I just think for our workflow, it's way overkill for what we do, and especially for running.
I think it's way overkill for what most people do. And that's if you're going to compare that coming out to the R5, and the R5 just having easier workflow, easier to use, easier to shoot with, and a little bit form factors, a little bit more friendly to what most people are using. I think that'll beat it.
So that's going to be interesting to see what they do when they come out with that. I thought I'd throw that in there. We got two more stories today. One is this Tamron that I'm holding up. If you're listening at home on the podcast, you can't see it, but this is the 180, the 70 to 180 2.8 that came in the mail. I got to shoot it yesterday, stayed social distanced with someone to have a model, to take some photos as best that I could. But Steven and I were talking after that this cost $1,200. The other one that, oh Jesus, that is heavy. This is the 70 to 200 Sony G Master. That cost $2,600. But with Tamron, you can get their Trinity of 17 to 28, 28 to 75, and 70 to 180 for $3,000 versus $2,600 for one for the Sony E-mount.
Get the entire Trinity, yeah, you're set for the same price as one Sony lens for the most part.
You know, there is a trade-off in quality, probably, and build quality.
I'm sure.
But for the most part,
and when it breaks and all that stuff.
Yeah, like, but for most people that have the beginner entry-level Sonys like an A7 III, which, let me just say, it's not just a beginner entry-level camera. It's where a lot of people enter. That camera is more than just a beginner basic camera. It's fully
price
functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just saying that that's where the entry level is. Most people aren't buying an A9 II. They're not buying an A7R4. And so they're not spending a ton of more money on glass. But Tamron, unlike Sigma, so Tamron and Sigma were the two third-party people making lenses. I mean, Tokina's one also. But Tamron went with, let's go with smaller 2.8s that are lighter and less expensive. And Sigma's like, we're going to crush with 1.2s, 1.4s, 2.8s, arts, pro lenses. But on the Sony E-mount side, I am hard-pressed to tell anybody that is an amateur, advanced amateur, or even some level of a pro starting out that you shouldn't drop $3,000 on these three lenses versus $10,000 to fill your bag with a 12 to 24, a 70 to 200, and a 24 to 70. You're looking at like $8,000.
Well, what I would say, getting that Trinity early in your career, having the ability to get the shots that you want when you want them is huge. Sometimes I just don't feel like it's... I'd rather get the shot, and this even goes back to having a Red or a 5D Mark II or having a Tamron or having a Canon. Like, I just want to get the shot. Like, I just want to tell my story. I don't care, it doesn't need to be like the best of the best of the best. It just needs to be good enough to tell my story.
And that's evident in the FroKnowsPhoto guide to getting out of auto that Todd shot with a 60D and a 18 to 105.
135. Crushed
18 to 135
18 to 135.
Lens. F8 all day. 5.6.
He shows up. I'm like, are you really shooting me with this?
And the nice thing about the Tamrons as well,
Thank you for that, by the way.
A lot of video guys who are big fans of gimbals and cranes and all that kind of stuff, they like the lightweight of the Tamrons, especially the 17 to 28 and the 28 to 75. It's really well balanced. It's not overkill, and so that's another thing to bring up is the Tamrons are much smaller and much lighter. I doubt they're as durable, but
we saw the same thing. Stephen, we also saw the same thing when we tested the 70-200 2.8 Tamron G2 at the baseball game against the 70-200 Nikon, and some pictures it was sharper, others it wasn't. But that was more me missing focus with the camera I was using at the time, and you wouldn't be able to really look at the pictures and say which came from which. And one was 1200 and one was 2800. So it was like, I mean, for most people, this is just a great option.
I just feel in general these days, third-party lenses and the options they offer are just as good for the most part, especially the Sigma Art series, Tamron we're seeing with the G2 and the new lineup they have here for the E-mount system.
And definitely not 10 years ago, though.
Not 10 years ago. I have some Sigma lenses from 10 years ago, and they're dog shit.
Yeah.
They're paperweights now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to have a review of that lens against the 70-200, talk about the pros, talk about the cons, show you sample images, and see if 180 is too short versus 200. I'm working on that probably this weekend, which is after this comes out, but still going to be working on that. And the last news story to talk about, because it's really difficult to talk about it on Fix, is the one about Instagram. A photographer lost the right. Basically, a court rules that your Instagram photos can be embedded against your wishes. Now, that is a headline from Petapixel. I'm reading the story from Petapixel just to fill everybody in on it. So let me just read it. A federal court has tossed out a photographer's claim of copyright infringement against a major online publication that embedded her Instagram photos against her wishes. The court concluded that the photographer signed over the right of embedding by posting the shot on the photo sharing service. And so basically what happened is which magazine? Mashable came to this woman to ask if they could use a photo, and they offered her $50. She said no. So instead of getting the photo from her directly, they just embedded her Instagram, which Instagram gives you the right to embed or the ability to embed, and she sued them. And she lost. And now people are up in arms. They're like, Instagram sucks. They need to change their terms of services. They need to give us the option to turn off embedding. And I sit there and I'm like, well, you signed the terms and you know the terms. You chose to do this.
It's a free service.
It's a free service. You're not paying for it. So if you sign that, like, stop bitching that Instagram did you dirty when you chose to do it. You have a choice to post your images or not post your images. That's my first take. Yeah.
I mean, so here's my thing on that. I agree with that. You know, you're putting it online. It's the amount of times my photos have been taken, stolen, embedded. I can't even count. I probably don't even discover them all. But the part that's like shisty about it is the fact that Mashable asked, she said no, and then they were shady enough to go find a way to do it anyway. Like, that's the part that's not cool, I think.
Yeah,
the rest of
it's like Dick Prince.
Agreed.
It's like Richard Prince doing what he does all the time, took people's Instagrams and then blew them up and sold them for $100,000 a pop. That's art. You know, he's a dick. That's a dick move, and that's why his name is Dick Prince. And whatever. But no, I hear what you're saying. That is a valid point, that she asked them not to and they still did. But the other way that you can get around it on Instagram is if you make your account private. If you make your account private, then they can embed it, but then you're not adding people and people aren't really seeing your stuff.
Well,
so
that's also debatable too, because I've seen some massive Instagram accounts that are, memes or whatever they are, and the whole fact that they are private, I'm sure, helps people not unfollow them, because it takes like a week to even get approved. Somebody sends you something and like, oh, it's private, I got to request it, then wait. So they probably get a lot less unfollowers because of it.
Yeah. And that is, I saw a couple of those places. I'm like, how are they private with 7 million followers? And it is pretty cool that they do that. Maybe it's a way subconsciously they didn't think about, but they can get around certain things because they are private.
That's true. Yeah.
And Jared,
I'm curious if she just deleted the photo after they embedded it, so then they didn't have it anyway.
Yeah.
YouTube and Vimeo, you can disable embedding, correct? Even YouTube, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Vimeo lets you disable it. I'm not sure that YouTube lets you
I think you can.
disable.
I think you
I don't
can.
care. Like,
no, I know we want places to embed stuff, but I'm just saying I think you have the option still.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really something I worried about. I want people to have the ability to embed it. I still get people that email me. They're like, can I embed this in a post? And I kind of ignore it because it has a share button. And if you're going to do it, you just do it. Just don't sell my stuff. Don't sell it.
Yeah.
Or try to re-upload it somewhere and call it your own. So it's definitely one of those things that if you choose to put your stuff on Instagram, you are signing over something. You choose to put your stuff on Facebook, you're doing that. I'm not a fan of the people that are just like upset at Instagram for this, because Instagram's a free service. You choose to do it. They need to make money. They didn't actually make money off of this, but you are giving them data. They're giving you reach. Anybody else got anything on that one?
No, I agree. I don't think you can be mad about that. The only thing for me, so I always think of, if someone's going to steal my photo, it's going to be of one of my couples. And I personally have model releases from my couples to post. But if they end up on some other site that wasn't me, and I do have like full rights where I can do it commercially or whatever, then, is that site infringing upon the model? Not even just a photographer?
I think it's a lot of a gray area anymore with the free-for-all that is the internet.
It is a free-for-all.
You just grab what you need, use what you want, put stuff out into the world. It's a trade-off. I mean, when I started this 10 years ago, I built it on free at a time when everybody was trying to have paywalls, just because the idea was put more stuff out into the world. It will pay off in the long run, which was a total 180 of where I was a couple years prior. I didn't want to share anything because I thought people would benefit more than I personally would benefit, and then I had a change of I changed my mentality and prospered.
And now you're just giving away cameras like candy,
and now people are making videos about me like Vanessa.
Yeah, it's free. I had to do you first. Like, you're easy to impersonate. I just got to put some hair on, flex my muscles a little. Yep. You are so happy about that. Look how proud you are. You're turning red. That's so funny.
He loves
He's
it.
So excited.
That's not even it.
I don't want the attention. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Oh, do you really have to? Okay.
All right. We're gonna wrap up this week here. Vanessa, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Yeah.
Steven, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Todd, nobody cares about you.
Whatever. I don't even want to be here.
All right, so if you guys have any questions, I was going to come up. We used to do the hashtag-y thing. I don't even know what hashtags are.
How long ago did we do that?
Dan used to write them down before he had to do the switcher, and then he started to try to focus too hard on the switcher and then couldn't remember.
I was going to say, I don't think he ever actually switched where it would be on the screen.
No.
Right?
No. He used to write them down while we recorded, but then when he started doing the switcher, it was no longer.
That's right. Yeah.
Or maybe Noah. I don't know. Did Noah ever keep track of hashtags?
I don't think so.
Noah? Hello? Noah? If you haven't listened to the audio podcast, if you want to listen, I was going to say in a car, if you're driving, I don't know where you'd be going because most of us are still locked down.
Get back in your house.
You can listen. Go take a walk and listen to the podcast. You can do that. It's not a visual podcast unless you want to see Vanessa up there in the top, wherever she ends up being on the screen. Then you could log in and watch Vanessa. I mean, some people may want to watch Todd. We know Steven has at least one fan that likes watching him.
But where's she going to go? I mean, really, where's she going to go? It's a quarantine.
And hopefully the audio is fine this week, too. Hopefully everything recorded correctly. Fingers crossed.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys very much for listening. We will try and do another one next week. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.